we just watched The Joker, and we're a little bit late bloomers because
it's technically just Joker.
Fine. Okay. We just watched Joker. X-nay on the. Okay? And we're going to give our review of it.
Yeah.
And we have not shared amongst each other what we have thought about this film at all. So, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I guess I'll go first. So, I went into the movie not really wanting to see it because I don't generally enjoy films about sadistic people. And I'm afraid to say that I liked it because I think that makes me sadistic, but I think I kind of liked it. I mean, there's a little part of me that's like the comic book nerds, all the little like comic book like Easter egg things that were in it were like, woohoo, already made me happy. And tying it into the story of Batman without being really overtly Batman was an interesting take on it, and I liked the take of like kind of focusing on the idea of mental illness, and I think it really had like a point, like there's like gratuitous violence in movies about psychopaths, and I feel like this had more of a point where it was like, he's mentally ill. Mm-hmm. And he's abandoned and nobody's taking care of him, so what else is he going to do? Like obviously not all mentally ill people become like psychopathic murderers, but like you kind of see why he went the way he did, and you almost empathize a little bit, which is scary. But like you see where he could have done things differently as well, and you see where like society could have done things differently. So I think it was just an interesting take on the story. Like he's still
empathize with what he does, or empathize with the way he feels.
With the way he feels, not with how he responds. I almost question everything that happened in the movie, where it makes you almost feel like how much of this movie is actually real, like, and how much of this is him imagining it, I guess, in a way,
I mean, like, maybe we just realized that some of interactions didn't go exactly the way that it was portrayed initially on screen.
It has these, like, delusions of grandeur, and so there's several moments where I'm like, is this even really happening? Like, I don't know.
Right. I feel like overall it was decent. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as good as people are making it out to be. Like, especially there was so much hype of being like, oh my goodness, it's so crazy, it's so violent, and it's so this, and it's so that, and oh my word. Yeah. That like I had such like high expectations of how crazy is it gonna be? Is it gonna be so crazy?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't say it was so crazy. It was just like the one scene where I was like, whoa.
Right. Yeah, and I mean like the people. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, sure, it was violent. It was definitely deserved its R rating for the violence, and there obviously was plenty of F words to go with that rating as well. So that wasn't so great, but at the same time, I don't think it was gratuitous like a Saw. Yeah. I don't know why people were like up in arms about this of being like uber violent. I think it's almost like the phenomenon of people like back in the day. There was a lot of like Christian people who were freaked out about Dungeons and Dragons, and they're like, these people are worshiping Satan. They're down there like, worshiping Satan and, doing incantations and, it's all terrible. It's basically like a Ouija board.
Right.
And I think this came from a big, group of people who didn't really know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't really know anything about Dungeons and Dragons except for it's pretty much, it's not really that. It just seems like it's more like a nerd game.
Yeah, totally is.
So, but I'm saying
But the best.
But what I heard about it, like, say, from my, very conservative parents, is not what it really seemed to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I feel like there was a group of people that were doing the same thing with Joker here, where they were like, oh my goodness, this is the most violent thing you've ever seen, and everyone's going to go crazy, and people are going to want to do school shootings, and oh my word. And I don't feel like it was that. And like, if they should have been doing that for Saw, because Saw is like one of those movies where you seem like it's just like it's violence for violence sake.
Right.
Where this is definitely like a few violent scenes to show like what could potentially happen to a man who's pushed to the edge because of, you know, mental instability that's not taken care of. Let's go back to the actual movie. Starting out, it started out really slow.
Yeah, I would say that too.
I feel like they could have cut like 20 minutes out of it. Maybe. And then when it finally got going, then maybe it became much more interesting. At first, I was like, come on, tick-tock, guys. Let's move already.
Right.
And at the same time, like, I'm fine with developing backstory and all that stuff, but it seemed like it was a lot of mundane, you know, just day-to-day goings on. They didn't give you a whole lot of backstory or anything like that, so it seemed very kind of just boring.
Yeah.
Where I'm all for backstory and taking time to, you know, get into the character if it actually has something to do with it. And this did, but at the same time, it just still, like, it took really long. Really.
Yeah, the backstory part of it comes, like, probably, like, the second half of the film.
Right, it's like, why couldn't you just get to that? You know, we get it, he's crazy.
Right, yeah. He's got problems.
He's got issues.
Right.
You know, but, so I'd say, I guess, I don't think it was amazing, but I thought it was okay. And I definitely think, yeah, it definitely seemed like it had, like, a point of, you know, communicating how he got to doing some of the things that he did because of some of the things that, you know, led to that. And you know, again, there's, you know, definitely parts of it that are very violent, but it wasn't like the entire movie. It was very much like just a few.
You know, it was used sparingly, I feel like.
Yeah.
So there's like that one scene where it did get kind of gratuitous, I guess, or frightening, I guess, but.
Yeah, but nothing more than you've ever seen before, like in a Saw or even a Braveheart or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, like I'm saying, like this is still, say, like a lot less violent than Braveheart.
Right. Yes.
If you're gonna compare that, you know, clearly that's a war movie or whatever. But I'm just saying, you know, it wasn't like he was like running around murdering people every second or, you know, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And just, you know, pulling out Uzis and.
Yeah.
So, if we were gonna establish this from a rating systems perspective, on like a scale of 1 to 10. What would you give it overall for your just personal viewing pleasure?
Well, probably like a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
like a 6. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like what do you want to give Joaquin Phoenix on his score for his portrayal of Joker, and then maybe rank him amongst other Jokers?
Yeah. I guess I would give him also 7. I mean, like you can tell he put a lot into it. I mean, the guy was like this thin, like skinny. I mean, Joker needs to eat more cheeseburgers or something. Like he definitely did well as like, you know, portraying that like mentally ill individual who's just like not taking care of himself and is just kind of going boopy. Probably the best Joker that I can think of right now, like off the top of my head, I still really like Heath Ledger's Joker. Maybe because it was such a surprise when I first heard he was gonna be Joker. I was like, no way, not 10 Things I Hate About You guy. He's too dreamy, and so yeah. So it's like really pleasantly surprised by his whole performance. And
there's a bunch of young people now. It's like Googling.
Yeah,
10 Things I Hate About You. What
great.
Is that?
Watch it. It's the best.
Dreamy.
But anyhow, so I would say that Heath Ledger is still one of my favorites, just because, like I said, it was such a surprise, and he just had that zany but also psychotic thing going on for him. Where like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was really just very sad. It's just so sad.
It's sad and disturbing.
It was so sad and disturbing, but probably like the more realistic version of what somebody like that would be in the real world. You know. But yeah, so probably like Heath Ledger, then Joaquin Phoenix, then Jack Nicholson. Everybody loves him.
I'd have to go back and watch it. It's been so long since I've watched the original Batman with Jack Nicholson, but I always seemed like I was impressed with it at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, probably the last watching, but I really need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I'd have to look back. I guess my memory of him is more like almost more of like the gangster thug kind of guy, not really like the zaniness of the Joker. But I'd have to see it again.
Still, like Heath Ledger, maybe would be number one, but it's close. You know,
to who?
To Joaquin Phoenix's. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix definitely seems more like a down to earth, like, you know, more steeped in reality type Joker figure, where like Heath Ledger's was not like crazy zany, like very cartoonish, like Jared Leto's like Joker was.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about him. He's bottom.
Yeah. Jared Leto's Joker was far too like cartoony, just like you're like, this is, you can't take him seriously.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, you know, again, Heath Ledger, and then Joaquin Phoenix, and maybe Jack Nicholson are down here somewhere. And Jared Leto's like way down here somewhere in the gutter. Yeah. He's gotten hit by Batman and he hasn't got up yet.
Like him in like the 1960s version. This movie is about you. He's practicing his Joker.
I'm what?
That was like a Joker laugh.
It was not. I'm just laughing because I was thinking about how corny the 1960s
so
one
good.
is.
Watch like, that too.
Like, I'm coming for you, Batman.
Nothing can beat that. Adam West. But yeah, just, you know, like I said, I feel like maybe it just makes me feel a little bit better to like accept Joker as like more of a psychotic person who's like, you know, he's easier to be the bad guy when it's like a psychotic person who's enjoying what he's doing, which is like kind of what Heath Ledger was like I'm crazy and I love killing people. And Joaquin Phoenix, like there were times where it was like, yeah, you're acting like you enjoy this, but I think you're crying still. So I almost still feel bad like for you. So
it was very like, definitely Joaquin Phoenix's Joker gets like grade A top for like the most sinister Joker of all time. Like, you know, so even like underneath, in my opinion, Heath Ledger was like maybe like that scary, like what's he gonna do, you know? And his is much more sinister, like I know what he's gonna do, he's gonna kill us all. Right. He's crazy, he's gonna do something that's unexpected because he's insane.
There's so many times during the movie where we're both like, yeah, that person's gonna die.
Yeah, this is gonna die. He's gonna kill that guy. The guy shouldn't have said that.
Like knew it was going.
Yeah, and like that was the other thing. It was very maniacal, and the way that he was like very planned. Like, you know, somebody would say something, and he would like run away laughing or smiling, and then he, you know, it'd be like weeks later where he would, you know, figure out this plan and be like, I've got them now, you know, which is seemingly, you know, like I said, is more sinister. Than the Heath Ledger Joker that you know, seemed just more like a go kind of like, I'm gonna do this, and then when that happens I'm gonna do this, you know, instead of that methodical planning. Heath
Ledger was more of a fly by the seat of your pants kind of like
explosions.
And
I would always give props to a movie that, you know, doesn't have any like explosions or any that much.
Yeah, it was
you
very,
know,
you know,
but still can, you know, maintain your interest and, you know, get you to say, well, this is creepy, this guy's messed up.
Yeah.
And he's just as scared as this guy versus the other guy who has a big giant gun, you know, or a bomb or whatever it is.
Right.
And also being able to do that while at the same time the movie seemed very like timeless in a way, where in other words, like you couldn't really tell whether this movie was maybe made like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and maybe you'll be thinking the same thing, you know, 20 years from now, of being like, it's very hard, it would be very hard to be like, go back and be like, oh, that looks so cheesy, because it was all very much down to earth, nothing, no CGI, none of that garbage, you know, so
you're like, I know cities that look like that.
So it's going to be very much like a timeless, I'm sure there's CGI in it, but nothing that like, you know, nothing that stuck out, like maybe probably just like doing skylines and stuff.
Right.
I like that because then I can, you know, I will be able to watch this movie, you know, 15 years from now if I want to, and I won't be like, oh, that looks so garbagey.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot of movies like that that are going to come out And then we're gonna watch them later and be like,
Yeah. Anyway,
that's
so I think that's about it for Joker.
Yeah, Joker. I don't know. You can't really say
Do-
yay.
Do your best Joker face and for the end of it.
Do a Joker.
Do a Joker
No.
smile. Oh, that's okay. All right.
Yeah. Terrifying.
No, that wasn't good enough. But anyway, how about this?
Does that hurt?
There we go.